Hello, everyone, and welcome to another session of Talk ProHealth. Today, we have an esteemed panel with us to talk a very important and most misunderstood topic, about nutrition. So, nutrition is almost like everyday talk. There is so many influencers, so much information out there in the social media, and everyone talks about nutrition. But at the same time, this is the most misunderstood and underunderstood topic out there. Everyone claims to know nutrition, but most of the people cannot understand the nutrition. So today's session is about that, understanding the food label reading. Why is it important? What we should know about it, and what do we do when we go to a supermarket, to a hotel, or etc. What do we look at to decide whether the food that we are going to consume is healthy or not? To explain all these in detail, we have Dr. Nagaratna Selam. She's an experienced and board certified pediatrician with over 2 decades of clinical experience, specializes in functional and integrative medicine. She's the founder and CEO of Natural Care MD, a pioneering practice focused on root cause healthcare and holistic treatment strategies. She also holds an MBA in healthcare management and has multiple certificates in functional and holistic medicine. Dr. Naga, we are super happy to have you on board. This is your second session with us. Welcome. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm very happy to be here too.
Thank you. And we have the second panelist, Varsha Gore. She has an MSc in nutrition and she's a clinical dietitian and also the head of the department for dietetics at Apollo Hospitals, Navi Mumbai. She has over 25 years of experience in the field of nutrition and dietetics. She has multiple certifications and also has authored 4 chapters in books for clinical nutrition. Varsha, we are super happy to have you, and I think you are the right person to tell us all these topics, right? Welcome on board, and we are happy to have you.
Thank you so much. It's a privilege to be on this forum, and thank you, ma'am, for joining us over here.
Great. So we'll start with the first basic question. I think I'll start with Varsha, you. Why is this topic even important? Why do we talk about food label reading when we have so much more information out there and every brand talking about its own contents already?
Yeah, this is a very, very valid topic and very important question, because when you say food label, I think a lot of awareness about food label needs to be created. So why it is important to read a label? Number one point I would like to estimate is that food label is a legitimate, or it's a requirement of the day. If you want anything what you consume to be safe, hygienic, food label is an essential component. Again, in our country, India, it has to have a logo of FSSAI, so that Food Safety and Standard Authority of India gives a number to the company, which assures the consumer and the client, our patient and the community, that it is good for their well-being. So food, that is from your safety, and of course, this is the first predominant requirement. Second, about its nutrition. What are you eating? How much to eat? What is the right component required in that packet? So all is it a part of food label, and that's why food label needs to be understood very, very well.
But tell me this, say for example, if I'm talking about a biscuit or any packaged food, the company always gives an information when it is talking in a ad or when they are publishing it. But why is I understand that FSSI is a behind the scenes that happens. What are the parts of this food label that are of interest? I think Dr. Naga, you can tell me what does it even mean? Say there's a brand name, there's a biscuit or some sub tag, and what actually constitutes the food label? Is it everything on the package? What is it?
So yes, what it says on the front, but more important, what it says on the back of the package. So you need to look at the nutrition part, and it's even more important to actually look through the ingredients, because again, just the calories alone don't matter. What makes up those calories? And what else they have added in that, almost like the hidden items, you can say. You need to read through all the ingredients. So it is important to look through the entire back of the package.
Got it. So I have one sample food label here. I think, Varsha, if you can just walk us through this and say, like, say, Dr. Naga mentioned about the ingredients, but there's so many other things. So which
Sure.
are the parts that I think are like important for you for us to look at?
Oh, good. So when Dr. Naga said that it's not only to look at the front, what is the product, but look at behind. And I think this behind side gives the entire information what a consumer must know. So you started with, I'll not come up to the cooking instructions, but I will focus on that chart, which people tend to ignore because it has many, many values and something written, so they ignore. But that is a component when you have to look at it. So on the left hand side, you see the ingredients. What is it made up of? Reading the ingredient list is very, very important because it tells what does it contain. If you say it is a
Okay.
millet friendly, how much percent of millet it is there? We'll get into details later on, but I'll just talk about the components. So it talks
Yeah.
about the ingredients, then it talks about the nutritional information. How much is the value per 100 grams? So if you are a pack of biscuit, which is 100 grams, how much is a 100-gram pack? What are the components in it? The macro components include the carbohydrate, fats, and proteins. So it says that it is fat friendly. But what type of fat? Whether it's the healthy fat or unhealthy fat. So the macronutrients. Then it talks about the micronutrients, that is the added ingredients, probably it's the preservatives, the stabilizers, emulsifying agents, the fiber. So the micronutrients and the other components of it. And of course, the other instructions like how do you cook it, what is the storage temperature, because that is also important, the best date. So these are all the major components what I can think of. If anything has, if I missed out, ma'am, you may add it.
So the one other thing I would add on the back of the package is what to look for is, of course, we all look for it, the manufacturing date and the expiry date also. So typically expiration date may be from 6 months to a year after the manufacturing date. But the one thing we have to remember is the longer the expiration date, the more shelf life it has, we have to remember that it has more chemicals in it to keep it stable for that longer period of time, which is not necessarily a good thing.
Got it. So I think this is the right time to bring up some of the stats that we have on our page. So we did a small survey to understand consumer behavior before this talk and to understand what do people want to understand from this session, right? And it was interesting. So first question that we asked is how many people do even read the labels? And out of on all the people that we asked, what was very encouraging was all of them told that they read sometimes, often, or like always, but no one told that they ever read, not read it. So, right. So that was encouraging. But the next point we asked is, what do you look at when you read the food packages? And 90%, that is now, people told that they look for expiry date. So that's the only thing they look at, and everything else is optional. And most of the people, at least like I think three-fourth of them were told that they are going to look at the ingredients as well. But none of them were looking at the allergens, fat content, or like sugar content. None of these facts, like either expiry date or like what is the ingredients. But Dr. Naga, I think you made a very good point. Like when we see, like even I look at expiry date, I look at whether it is expired or not. But if there is a long expiry date, that also means there is a lot of preservatives. That I think very important factor to bring in. So, Dr. Nagar, tell us about the serving sizes. So, I see a lot of information here. I think what overwhelms people is so much information, right? So, another question that we had asked in the survey is why don't you read it? Like, even if you read, what confuses you most? And this is what they told. And the top answer was everything about it. So, that tells the complexity of the topic. So, we'll take one by one of this and we'll talk about the serve sizes, like what does it mean, like every package has different information about it.
True. So the way they come up with the serving size is approximately how much of that product each, like a general population eats. So that's how it's a little subjective, but you have to read it carefully because in one packet it may be like 5 or 6 chips can make one serving size, and in another packet, let's say the calories may be less, but you're looking at calories for a tablespoon of the of whatever is there in that package. So
Oh.
it can, so it is important to take into consideration the serving size itself, and then how many serving sizes are there in the package. So that gives you like a overall, what do you say, information about how much is there in the whole package. So if you just look at, let's say, the serving size, and per serving size, this is the amount of calories, and you think it's not that much. Let's say it's one serving size is 100 calories, but then each packet may contain like 10 serving sizes, and then you don't think a whole lot about it. I don't know if that's so. You have to look at the information in totality, not just take one and just go off of it.
So what I'm hearing is it's not uniform and the serving sizes
It's not.
might be different. But who
Yes.
decides, like, does the company have any standards, or like it's on each person or manufacturer to decide the serving size? What is the basis? Is there any basis on this?
From what I was able to gather, they say they come up with like for each product, they come up with how much of that product like a general population consumes, and they take an average of that and come up with the serving size.
Okay, got it. So it's not uniform, and I think it's up to each of the manufacturer to decide what is the serving size, and it might not be what a person eats, right? Yes,
Can I just
Varsha,
add
wanted to
one
add
point
something?
over here?
Yeah. Yes, please.
Based on our practice, when we also see our patients and they show us different labels, and they'll ask, okay, this is a protein bar, how much can I eat it? Because I need 60 grams of protein, but they cannot eat 60 grams at one go. Or if this packet, this is I think a biscuit packet or something carbohydrate based packet. So there will be values per 100 grams. So per 100 grams, the calories are given. If you talk about every food group, we have 5 food groups. We have the cereals, then the pulses, then you have the dairy, vegetables, fruits. So these are the food groups. So when you talk about carbohydrate and proteins, around 35 grams, 35 to 40 grams is considered one serve. So a product which would be around 35 to 50 grams, how much calories will it give? When you talk about chips, they are dehydrated products. So there the serving size is smaller because there's no water content. So actually it will differ from product to product. But there is no rule that how a serving size is defined. So when a consumer reads, they will get information per 100 grams, like 100 grams cheese. But what is recommended is a 1 cube or one slice, which is 25 grams. And then you take information from that.
But isn't it a too much math for everyday man to do it? Like like how much I eat and especially when it is like too much.
So there are many components. Some components are user friendly. Some components are for to put it on app, because many people put it on app also. That if we get patient, they put it on app that they want to know how much calories they consume. And some is also for the experts. So you have to read the label thoroughly. It's not only maths. I think it's a lot of science and psychology of entire thing process.
Whole industry.
Holistic, yes, absolutely. So it's not like just open a packet and be eating it. You have to be very mindful, read the label. Like when you drive car, it's very easy. It's not only about green, orange, red, but there's all the technicalities that all the ABC, the accelerator, brake, clutch needs to be in place. So similarly, you need to read the label. You need to understand for yourself, because it is going to be precision for every person, individualized.
I agree. Yeah. Dr. Naga, you were saying something?
So sometimes like what she said, Varsha said, they give you the nutrition facts for, let's say, like 100 grams, but then they all at the same time they say the serving size is 25 grams, like she said, the cube. So so you should not assume that the serving size is the same as the information that is given over there. So you have to kind of put it all together.
Yeah. And I think when you want a craving for some food or when you're hungry, I think this is too much work to be done. Rather, you should do it when you're buying the food itself, rather than I think that makes more sense. Like before someone buys, always read the labels. So, Dr. Naga, please talk about this percentage RDA. What does it mean, and how do you interpret it? Because I see I think we were talking about the calories to start with, and like serving sizes is mainly based on that. But what about the percentage RDA? But I think some places they give it as percentage DV.
Yeah, the daily value that is based on the assumption that it's a 2000 calorie diet. So for a person who is eating total calories of about 2000 per day, that will be the
Mm-hmm.
daily value. That will, if it says like 5% of the daily value, it gives you 5% of what you need for the whole day based on a 2000 calorie diet.
Okay, you mean to say like the start point wherever they are taking the reference itself is variable for each person, and that might actually change, and it's an average of 2000 calories.
Around 2000 calories, yes. Maybe
Okay.
Varsha knows more about it because she works more with patients.
No, no. So a little bit add on, the recommended dietary allowance is what we call is also equivalent to the daily value of based on a 2000 calorie diet. And somewhere we have to understand the limits. So anything below, suppose it is 10%, so it is on the lower side. Anything food which pops up and says 20% or more, so that is really high. So
Okay.
now if you read on the label, sodium 1.8%, which is fair enough. But if you look at chips, maybe it has
Mm.
something like 12% or 15%, then it's alarming. So this is
Mm.
how that figures tell us
Oh,
whether it is
I
on the
think this
higher
one I
side
can
or
see
lower
here.
side.
Uh, this is actually oats packaged, which is supposed to be, per serving, it's 36% of sodium. So I think
It's quite a
the
lot.
one you were mentioning about the sodium, I
Yeah.
think the whole content,
So
like,
again, it is ready to eat. So if it is for
correct.
my a patient who is hypertensive, or it is a family who are little salt conscious and other thing, then I'll say, okay, you buy plain oats and all the
Mm.
spices and additives you can take it by yourself in your grammage of salt permitted.
Understood. So rather than taking something which high salt,
Yeah.
like you can make it up for that. I think I think each person has to customize the contents for their own health
Yes.
needs, right, rather
Yes.
than being a one size fits all.
Yes, maybe we'll
Correct.
dwell it little later. But when we talk about micronutrients or some special nutrients, for example, you want to consume high fiber biscuits. And if
Mm-hmm.
the fiber content is like 1.5 or 2% of the total, then it defeats the purpose. So this is
Correct.
what the point is, what I wanted to stress on.
Yeah, I agree. What about the macronutrients? There's so much talk about sugar free and diabetic friendly or like fat free, 98% fat free. What does these claim constitute? One thing that I don't understand is what is 98% fat free? Is the 2% of the food fat content, or what does it mean?
So again, I'll just take some points and then Dr. Naga can
Yeah,
add. So again, it's to read the label carefully. When
yeah.
you say 98% fat free, so that food is not meant for fat, and 2% will be the visible fat it may have on its own. Like if you
Okay.
are eating, if you are eating peanuts, plain peanuts actually have fat. But if you have a fried peanut, it will have very high
Mm.
fat content.
Because there's an
So
added fat while
added fat, it
frying.
is fried. So that
Mm.
is how the fat content comes.
Mm.
Now here it is cashews 100% sugar free. It has sweeteners, which are, but how much again content of sweetener is there? Every food, if you take with sweetener and you
Mm.
are a sugar free freak, you feel you are a diabetic, but you are
Mm.
taking sugar free sweets, and you're taking sugar free tea, and you're taking biscuits. You may miss
Mm.
on sugar, but again, you're taking carbohydrates, which is indeed
Yeah,
sugar. So,
correct.
reading it to the point is very, very important.
Yeah.
So, looking at this label again, yes,
Mm.
they do claim it's sugar free, but then you have to see whether those sugar alternatives are appropriate for you. They're not appropriate for everybody. Like in this package, it says erythritol, which is like a sugar alcohol, and it's supposed to have some benefits, but for some people, it can cause more issues with diarrhea and all also. So, if it's something that doesn't agree with you in those
Mm.
situations, you may be better off eating something that has a little bit of natural sugar or regular sugar than erythritol or stevia. Stevia again has some benefits, but then there can be additives with stevia that could make it unhealthy. So you have to bring again look at all that information also.
Yeah, I think sugar free does not mean actually sugar free. It's probably one form of sugar,
There's a sweetener.
compensated for. Yeah.
Where the sweetness comes from is also important.
So now what I'm hearing is like mostly like what was not mentioned and still contains. Like, so if we want to list all the ingredients or the nutrients which we want to limit on a package, or like in a food, like what are the things that we should avoid? I think you can take it, Dr. Naga.
Um, so again, to some extent, it comes down to your health itself. Like you said about the sodium. So if somebody has any issues with high blood pressure or kidneys, you want to limit the sodium. But things that should absolutely not be there, in my opinion, for the sugar itself, I would say anything that has high fructose corn syrup
Mhm.
or white sugar, you want to try and avoid it as much as possible on the sugar part. With the fats, again, less of saturated fats, but absolutely no hydrogenated fats. You're better off not eating any hydrogenated fats at all. Um,
Okay.
what else? So the source of your carbohydrates, the source of your the sugar, and then the source of your fats. All those are also important. Not just how much is there, but where it's coming from.
Got it. So it's also like which one it is, rather than the group itself. Like rather than saying it's like carbohydrates or fats, I think looking at each of the subcomponent, which one is it,
The
it
so
matters. I think.
yes.
So when you say
So,
hydrogenated fats, like what are we talking about here?
Um,
Palm oil is
Palm oil, yeah, palm
is
oil
one
is
of them.
it's more of a saturated fat, but also hydrogenated. I don't know if they still. It used to be sold as dalda. I don't know if it's still there.
Uh-huh. Yes, I think it is there. Uh, it's reduced a lot compared to how much it was there before, but now still we see it.
I would like to take these both the points. One is with the lifestyle, with the kind of lifestyle
Sorry.
all of us we have.
Hmm.
What is the hidden enemies are sugar, salt, and oil.
Okay.
So if we
Hmm.
can focus on these three aspects, like ma'am did talk about sugar, sugar-free substitutes. But in name of sugar, there are so many things. There will be high fructose corn syrup,
Hmm.
maltodextrins, and fruit juice concentrate. You have a juice, and we normally tell not to have juice because juice is nothing but a sugar extract.
Yeah.
But it will have a juice concentrate. So that is,
Ah,
in fact, these are all these hidden names which are really worrisome. So
yeah.
similarly when you're talking about fat, because your question was related to fat, but I wanted to highlight about sugar. When you talk about fat, fats are of different types, we know, but for simple people, we just tell there are two types of fat: solid and liquid. Solid is something which is more harmful, the saturated
Hmm.
ones.
Hmm.
So your dalda, ghee, butter, cheese, whatever. But from industry perspective, we cannot miss it because they are the ones which gives for a biscuit a shortening agent, the crispness. Oil will
Yeah.
not give it. So how
Hmm.
much of it is there? The percentage in the fat content, they should be divided into the saturated fat percent and the unsaturated fat percent or the oils.
Hmm.
So that
Hmm.
is important. So if you want, there is a point, then you have to eat less of saturated fat or the trans fats. Trans fats are which are converted. Typically, you will get in all the processed foods, bakery foods, all
Hmm.
that. So that is where we need to watch out.
Got it. So these are the things that we want to avoid. What about the things that one should try to have more? Like, is there a list like that also? Like, say, for example, if I want to make it healthy, there's so much talk about protein these days. There's so much talk about ultra processed food items. So let's take one by one. Let's say talk about proteins to start with. Like, is that something that I want to look at when I'm looking at a label or or like what are the good things?
Protein is an essential component of our daily diet. Indian diets are low on proteins, even those who eat non-vegetarians or whatever. You need to count your proteins in well. But if the advertisement says or the label says enrich with protein, we have to
Mhm.
check whether in the ingredient list there's added protein or not. For example, yesterday I happened to see a high fiber, high
Okay.
protein bread. So I went further to read the label very clearly. It says that it had the regular no maida, so it had no
Mm.
wheat flour. So it had
Mm.
other ingredients. I checked on that, and there was a soya protein concentrate. Then I read how much percentage, and I was like, okay, satisfied. It did list something
Mm.
which is a source of protein. Sometimes there can be milk solids. So again, which is a
Okay.
source of protein. So you have to read. We all know what are the sources of protein by and large vegetarian sources. So we check on that, and then we check how much percentage is there. So that way you should be able to do justice if you're checking, and then you look at macronutrients that if the product has 50% carbohydrates,
Mm.
30% fat, and 20% protein, it will not be a high protein
Yes.
dish. And if it is
Correct.
a bread, again you're going to add. So suppose then in our counseling we have to say, okay, you have with egg, you have with paneer, or you have with chanas, then it will become enriched. So leave
Yeah,
apart that, but read the label and check what is the protein content in that particular product.
I agree. Dr. Naga, anything to add? Like, what are the other things? Like, protein is one thing, but what else would I want my label to contain more of?
Apart from the macronutrients, fiber would be another thing you want to look for, because anything that has fiber is going to help bind unnecessary or like toxins in your gut, and it of course it helps with your bowel movement. So you do want to have foods that have more natural fiber in it and all also.
I
So that's
agree.
another thing you want to look
I
for.
think fiber is something that's not talked about enough. While we make a hero of some foods, we don't really make hero of some heroes, and that I think fiber is one of that. Like, I think it has protective effect on a lot of
Lots,
other things, but yeah,
lots of
like we
benefits.
talk a lot less about it.
Mm.
Very interesting. And Rasha, I think you mentioned one point which seems very interesting. Like when you calculate the serving size, or RDA, sometimes you have complementary. Say, for example, biscuit with milk, or like cornflakes with milk. We don't calculate the whole thing and we just see the RDA and this. That I think is another aspect to keep in mind. What are the two, three things that you have together? Especially like I think for these biscuits and all the other snacks that we have, those are not even meals. And if it is only 20% and 30% of our RDA for energy or fats, then I think that's a concern. Yeah. So, what about the ultra processed foods? Like we talk so much about them. Like, is there a place in the food labels where it is mentioned as ultra processed, or how do we make out what is processed and ultra processed? Or is it something we should really be worried about?
Of course, it's a worrisome issue because we all know high processed foods. They can be labeled in different ways, but they are not. Nobody will. It's like it will be a very fine print. Like on a
Mm.
cigarette, everybody knows that cigarette is bad and smoking. That word of caution is also there. Similarly, you have in ultra processed foods, for example, we are eating French fries or we are
Mm.
eating the processed nuggets, so at that they're already fried and
Mm.
frozen. They will have a longer shelf life. And
Mm.
then again you refry them. So
Understood. Huh.
these are the foods which will be coming under ultra processed foods. And again here the portion size, your
Mm.
intake. They may say on the label one serving serves 200 calories. So but we
Yeah.
have to check from 200 calories how much percent is coming from carbohydrate and fats. It's
Mm.
predominantly carbohydrate and fats when you talk about ultra processed foods. We are not even
Mm.
talking about preservatives. Okay.
Yeah.
So this high fat, sugar, salt kind of thing will be a component of ultra processed foods.
Huh.
Again, you know that it's giving only 200 calories per serve, but 200 per serve means it has only suppose those cheese nuggets, and you're
Yeah.
going to eat 12. So that means you understand you're eating three times more, 600. And if you take it as
Yeah.
a snack, you're taking as a calorie of your major meal. So
Yeah.
reading it very finely, minutely, putting it in your shopping basket first, and then think over it, and
Mm.
then whenever you have time you read it properly, and then you can make a intelligent choice of the portion whether you want to buy it or not, or you make it at home alternatively. So these are some few tips what we would like to give.
Great. So, Dr. Naga, the other very hip word that I hear these days is organic and natural. What does these terms mean? Is that a superior product than someone say not mentioning organic or like say natural?
So they can claim anything, but again, you have to still read through the labels. What is there in it that is making it natural? What are they mentioning over there that they say is making it more of a natural product? Is it all like, let's say, if it's like carbs, is it like whole grains, like whole millets, or what is the source of their claim?
Mm.
And then the organic, of course, they have to mention whether the ingredients itself are grown organically. If it's something that is grown, then if it is grown organically, all that has to be mentioned under the ingredients itself also. And I think FSSAI has a new logo or new mention for anything that when the claim is organic, they have to have a different label, I heard.
Oh, is
Are
it? I'm
you
also not
aware of
aware
it,
of that.
Varsha?
No,
I came
Varsha.
across it. It says something. I can check, but then it has to have a different label on it from FSSAI saying that it is organic. That claim shows that it is organic.
No, I recently read that even if it is a whole grain food, right, there is a label that they have to mention, and that was interesting. Like because a lot of times they mention it's one of the interesting facts is the brown bread or multigrain bread. Brown bread is nothing; it's just brown most of the times. Like, is it really healthier? I don't know. Like compared
It
to the
has
white bread.
caramel,
Yeah, like
added
if it is really
colors.
whole bread, whole is like say if it is whole grain bread, that is different. But it's more like sometimes they just put a color into that and then call it a brown bread rather than a white bread. So I
True.
think
So
very
that's
very
why I
interesting.
think the reading the ingredient list is also important, right? So we equate brown colored bread to whole wheat bread, which is supposed
Yeah,
to be more healthy because it's more whole the whole grain
yeah,
itself. But then if you just make it brown and you claim it to be brown bread, you have that's where they play with the words, right? So you have
yeah.
brown bread is not the same, is not equivalent to whole grain bread. So people need to understand that.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think there's so much misinformation and more so much are like subtle word play at the games. I don't know, like it's all about the ads, but I think reading the food labels is the only way to understand what it actually contains. I remember recently there was a whole fiasco at my house about the salt, right? Like we got my husband used to get salt and then light salt, super light salt. I don't know. The whole week we have eaten either too much salt or no salt because we could not figure out what was salt. So, Varsha, what about this light diet and no? Does this really help salts, light salt or like super light salt?
So in a way, I now feel the labeling should be beyond labeling. There should be health professional advice, these kind of talks, what we are having, educational materials and handouts, any form of literature is
Hmm.
going to be. Because it is was understood that normal salt is sodium chloride. Okay.
Correct.
People say low salt diet, but there is sodium benzoate, which is a preservative. It's a hidden
Okay.
salt. So
Okay.
that is missed out. Now, we were specifically talking about types of salts. So, the alternative salt is the pink salt or the Himalayan salt or the other crystal salts. So, when you talk about pink salt or a rock salt, basically, it is a
Mm,
potassium salt. Now, if a
mm,
kidney patient is there, a kidney patient body cannot remove the toxins like salt and potassium, so they stay in your blood. That's why your potassium
mm.
level is high. Such people read the labels that it has low salt, so they take
Correct.
pink salt or a potassium enriched salt.
Correct.
For example, can be it will have KCl. Okay,
Mm.
so in that, what is happening is you are adding more or you are
Potassium and more
feeling,
strength.
yes, and that itself can be another harmful element adding to your diet. So, though
Mm.
the sodium content is less, but it has potassium added to it, which is going to be equally harmful for kidney patients. So, this
Understood.
is
Again,
where,
like I think it's
yeah,
not
you need
just as simple
advice.
as that.
Yes.
Salt
I like
itself is not
medicines.
simple.
Future, probably the future says a prescriptions for nutrition enriched product. Whether
Mm.
we always tell, read the label before you consume. Now, word of caution also needs to be given of
Mm.
about this salt, and I think this salt, sugar, oil, a lot of understanding is required.
No, I think it's
So
complex, right? Like even being
it
a
is.
doctor, sometimes I overlook a lot of things. And for a layperson to understand so much, and especially like when Indian dishes are made of so many components, and you have to decide the composition of each of this product. And if salt is this complex, imagine a dish like, which has like 20 ingredients. So, yeah, I
Yeah, you
think.
get so many foods you eat ready to eat. Like there would be a chana masala or something. So it
Hmm,
may be convenient, okay?
hmm,
And somebody is staying by themselves and they're eating these packaged foods daily. So
yeah,
they are consuming so much of hidden ingredients
correct.
like
Yeah,
salts and the oils, which type of oil. We're not
yeah,
clear about it.
yeah. Dr. Naga, you were
And
saying something?
added to that
Yeah.
the preservatives. Again, if chana masala, if we make it at home, it's not going to stay forever. So obviously they
Yeah.
put things in there which make it increase the shelf life itself also.
Mm.
True.
And how it is packaged too. So the packaging and the if it's in a plastic packet versus, so all those things also matter.
No, it
True.
reminds me, like recently I saw kakra, right? Like a local vendor packaging a kakra. He put a small, thin plastic and then gave a heat so that it becomes vacuum sealed. I'm like, if you're giving heat to a thin plastic, then you're actually, releasing so many chemicals might be actually leaching out into your food. So I think, but we never think about the packaging also, like a lot of times. So I think it's interesting. So, Dr. Naga, we had asked also the participants a few questions that what are the things that they want to learn about. One thing they asked is what is not good for children? How do we decide foods for children? Any advice on that? You are the pediatrician, I think you're the
The
right
the
person to
the
talk
best
this.
the best thing would be if it's packaged, it's not good, right? If you
Yeah.
can make something fresh and give the kids, that is the best. But then
Ah,
I know that's in an ideal world, and not everybody can do that. So you buy things that are at least freshly made.
mm,
To some extent, again, you look at the expiry date.
mm,
If it has a shorter expiry date, that's better. That's one. Second is you look through the list of ingredients, and the more preservatives or the more numbers it has with all the different chemicals, food
yeah,
colors, and preservatives, emulsifiers, the more of all those ingredients it has, the less you want to buy those. So
got it.
keep the ingredient list to a minimum. Like even for ice cream, I would tell patients, like if you don't understand what is written under the list of ingredients, don't buy it. And ice cream should be made of milk, sugar, and maybe some flavor. So that's all it
Yeah.
needs. But if it has like I've seen ice creams where there are like 20 different products or
Mm,
ingredients, not products, ingredients listed, and you
yeah.
don't even understand what those ingredients are, then you shouldn't be buying it. That's not really even ice cream. So the same thing applies for other packaged food also. So if you cannot understand what is there in it, then
Yeah.
don't buy it.
Don't buy. I think that's a golden rule every one of us should follow. Like if you cannot understand, I think that solves a lot of problems, right? Like the other problem that we were discussing about hidden contents. I think that
Mhm.
solves that too. So, Vasha, if we talk about the second question they had asked was, how do we know these hidden sugars, oils, and other things? Like, what are the words specifically that we want to look for to understand this is a hidden salt or like hidden sugar, oil?
So the words will be different. Like we did talk about it, but maybe we can just think
List them out
like
probably.
diabetic friendly. When you say sugar, so it will say diabetic friendly. Again, diabetic friendly means they will say they feel that they don't have to eat sugar, but it will
Mm.
have some date sugar, palm sugar, or high fructose corn syrup. They can have maple syrup. So it is
Is
considered
jaggery better than
like
sugar? I think is jaggery better than sugar? That's another thing that Indians talk
I thank
about.
people who ask me this question and patients. I said why because of this we are sitting here to give you a professional advice. So if you look at the and the best is we are not talking. This is beyond our discussion. Sugarcane juice. Where do
Mm,
you get sugar? Where do you get sugar and jaggery from sugarcane? So
yeah,
when you process this and you make it into concentrate, the first what you get in heating and boiling it in this iron back big pans is your jaggery. Then it is refined, filtered, cleansed, bleached, and many chemical processes. Then it forms into crystal clear sugar. So that is a
mm,
refined sugar.
correct.
Nutritionally, calorie wise, jaggery and sugars have the similar calories. This is
Mm,
one. Why jaggery is better? Because it is still much more natural and sugars are very, very refined. So this is the major difference nutritionally, and that you get, by the properties how it is obtained. So the calorie remains the same, but the processing decides how good or bad it is. At
Okay.
the end of the day, the total carbohydrate what you get is the same.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's also something to be underlined. Dr. Naga, is there a place where they also mention, like, say someone is, this is a third question, like, who is lactose free or vegan options? Is this something someone can understand from labeling?
It should be mentioned under the ingredients list. They should
Mm.
mention whether whether it is vegan or vegetarian, and lactose free, basically like milk free and all. It should be under the ingredients list, either
Understood.
within the ingredients, or it should specifically be mentioned under the list of ingredients.
Got it. I think we have few of the labels. We can just go through them quickly, and then I think we'll end the session with few of the common tips or home take-home messages that you want to give to them. So this is ready to eat masala oats, ready to cook rather. I think what is interesting here is I think the sodium content. Most of the times we don't look at the sodium content and the other things. Is there anything else that you would want to add, Varsha or Dr. Naga?
If I see this label pack, and one of the
Yeah.
point which we may have not covered is about the allergens. Okay,
Correct.
so allergens, like here, it does have some amount of wheat, or it does contain gluten. So it is
Mm,
not gluten free. It may not have wheat, but it does have oats. Okay, so
mm,
there is an advice, allergen advice contains oats, wheat, and soya. So if you
correct.
have these allergies, known allergies, you have gut issues by which you are not be eating wheat, or
Mm,
gluten, you are on gluten free diet, then it is not a safe product for you. So reading this, spotting this out is very, very essential advice what we want to give.
got it.
True. So under the same allergen advice, normally they list the common allergens under the allergen advice. So that would
Mm,
include, like, again, the wheat, the soy, eggs, milk, and fish. But other than
mm,
that, if you have any other specific allergies, you still need to read through the entire list of ingredients to see if you are allergic to any of those ingredients listed there.
oh. I think this is a simple label because it has only one serving per pack. I think at least if I look at this, I'll probably understand. The next one, I think in childhood, all of us have drank energy drinks. This is an energy drink which is supposed to make children healthier and the other. So this is the other thing. The important thing that I see is it is like almost 2 servings per day is what is advised, and the sugars, if I see, it's almost like per serving is 30%. It's almost 30% of the sugar or like energy requirement already filled with 2 drinks. These are like just complement to the other meal. So uh,
True.
that's
And those are all added sugars. It's not the naturally occurring sugar. So it's been
yeah,
added to
32.
there.
Yeah.
That's quite a lot.
True. Yeah. Also, it mentions a lot of good factors in the advertisement, but not what is also concerning. I think sugars is biggest concern. This.
True. They want all the energy to come from the sugar.
Yeah. So this was supposed to be a whole wheat, like atta noodles. But again, I think here what drew me was the fat content, right? Like, they were saying 2 biscuits is a serving. Like, it's supposed to be healthy biscuits. And I think knowing Indian habits, I think 2 biscuits per serving, no one eats. Like, it always exceeds 2 biscuits. So I think already 5% of the fats are coming from 2 biscuits of a daily requirement. I think Varsha mentioned it, like a lot of times we mention it as high fiber biscuits, but I think fat is a concern when you're talking about these things.
So
I,
this does has fiber about 9% per 100 grams. But look at the calories. If you eat 100 grams packet,
mm,
so you're
it's
getting
already 500
almost near to
kilocalories.
500 calories, and you're just getting less. Instead, you can have so many healthy options,
Yeah.
tasty options, which can. So here the portion control can be. You eat biscuits,
Mm,
but like you stick out to 2 biscuits.
1 or 2
The fat
biscuits.
content is higher. So
Yeah.
Especially the saturated fats. It has more
yes.
of the
Mm.
Yes, saturated fat is higher.
Okay, this was the sugar-free Kaju Katli. Again, I think we saw this and we talked about the other things, right? Like it's not 100%. There are like sweeteners which might or might not be good for each person, and I think each of us has to go through it and decide what is right for us.
True.
Uh, yeah, I think this was the other one. Like there is three columns. One is per 100 grams per portion, and this was sugar free or like healthy cornflakes. So this was the other one. Like again, it goes with the milk and complementing others. So I think calculating them is also important rather than just one. Again, 14% of energy per portion is coming from here. So they might talk about proteins, but always look at the whole content. Saturated fat again is 27%, 13% of the daily requirement is coming from here.
Yeah, GDA
So
is guideline daily
yeah,
amount. That's that what is it.
yeah. So very interesting, and I think we covered a lot of things. Is there anything that you would want to tell? Otherwise, like I would ask you, Varsha, to give three simple steps to process or to read any food labels.
Well, I can talk many points, but crisp
Ah,
points would be first of all, read the label. Do not ignore. Okay.
yeah.
Second point, go through it. At least whatever is highlighted.
Mm,
Okay. Me being a practicing dietitian, I will always talk about the calorie content. Okay.
mm,
So read the label for its nutritional value.
yeah.
And third, please understand it is a labeled food. At the end of the day, it is processed. So minimize your consumption of these, warned foods which are
Mm,
processed. And also, there's a minor tip that yes, it does contain preservatives. Longer the shelf life, not so good for your body. So you have to be very careful when you consume these products.
got it. Dr. Naga, what are the most common mistakes one should avoid when reading these labels? We, especially in a supermarket, in a hurry, like how do we avoid them? Common mistakes.
Don't go by the what it claims to be, like you were talking about the sugar free, and don't go with that at all. You have to, again, we cannot stress the importance of reading the ingredient list.
Mm,
And then as far as the nutrition label itself, the ones that are listed from top to bottom, whatever is on the top is the highest as far as from a weight perspective in that product. So
okay.
so if it lists a lot of like protein is on the top, then it's more protein heavy, versus if it has more carbohydrates, if that's listed on the top, it's going to be more carbohydrate heavy. So that can help you determine what, based on your focus, whether you are looking more for protein rich foods or for energy rich. I mean, energy rich most of the time comes from carbohydrates also.
Mm,
So that, and then the fats itself, you look through saturated, unsaturated, trans fat. Zero trans fat is always better. And then other smaller ingredients, which may be in small letters also. You have to read through those also. So reading the ingredients list is as important as reading the nutrition label.
got it. I think uh, reading the food labels is the only way one can know whether it is good or bad, and not the claims. Not because some influencer talked about it, not because the ad claims it, not because the packaging has vague terms like low, high, or like healthy, non-healthy. Thank you so much, both of you. I think we covered most of the topics related to the food label reading itself. And super interesting. And if someone has any questions, you can please leave it in the chat. And next month, we'll again meet with another topic of Talk Pro Health. Thank you, Dr. Naga and Varsha. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank
Yeah,
you
thank
so
you very
much.
much.
Bye.